The history of animals in space travel is a fascinating and often poignant tale of scientific curiosity and the pursuit of understanding human spaceflight's challenges. This story begins in the early days of the space race, as scientists sought to understand how living beings would fare in the harsh environment of space. The journey starts with fruit flies in 1947. The United States launched these insects aboard a V-2 rocket to study the effects of radiation exposure at high altitudes. The success of this mission laid the groundwork for using animals to gather critical data about the impact of space travel on living organisms. In 1951, the Soviet Union sent the first mammal into space, a dog named Dezik, accompanied by another dog, Zygon, aboard an R-1 rocket. Both dogs survived the suborbital flight, providing valuable information about the biological effects of space travel. However, subsequent missions had mixed outcomes, highlighting the risks involved. One of the most famous space animals was laika, a stray dog from Moscow. Laika became the first animal to orbit Earth aboard Sputnik 2 on November 3, 1957. Unfortunately, laika did not survive the mission, as the technology to safely return living organisms from orbit had not yet been developed. Her flight, while tragic, provided essential data on the survivability of living beings in space. The United States also conducted numerous animal experiments during this period. In 1958, a squirrel monkey named Gordo was launched aboard a Jupiter AM-13 rocket. Though the mission initially appeared successful, Gordo's capsule was lost at sea during recovery. Another milestone came in 1959 with the flight of Abel, a rhesus monkey, and Baker, a squirrel monkey, who successfully returned to Earth after a suborbital flight aboard a Jupiter AM-18 rocket. The 1960s saw further advancements in using animals for space research. The Soviet Union continued to use dogs, achieving notable success with the launch of belka and strelka in 1960. These dogs orbited Earth and safely returned, proving that living organisms could endure extended periods in space. Strelka later gave birth to a litter of puppies, one of which was given to Jacqueline Kennedy by Nikita Khrushchev as a gesture of goodwill. The United States, meanwhile, turned to primates for more complex missions. Chimpanzees, with their closer genetic relationship to humans, were used to test the Mercury capsule. In 1961, Ham the chimp was launched aboard Mercury Redstone 2, successfully performing tasks during the flight and surviving the mission. His successful return provided critical confidence for human spaceflight. Later that year, another chimpanzee, Enos, flew aboard Mercury Atlas V and became the first primate to orbit Earth, completing 2 orbits before safely returning. As human spaceflight progressed, the role of animals in space research shifted. With the advent of more advanced technology and a greater understanding of space's effects on biological organisms, animals were used less frequently for pioneering missions. However, they continued to play a role in scientific experiments conducted aboard space stations. In the 1970s and 1980s, animals were used in a variety of biological experiments aboard Skylab, Salyut, and later the International Space Station, ISS. These experiments focused on understanding how microgravity affects biological processes, including muscle atrophy, bone density loss, and the behavior of various organisms. In more recent years, animals have continued to contribute to space research, albeit in more specialized and ethical contexts. Mice, fish, and other small organisms are commonly used to study the long-term effects of microgravity on biological systems. These experiments help scientists understand how extended space travel might impact human health and develop countermeasures for future long-duration missions. The history of animals in space travel is marked by both triumph and tragedy. These pioneering creatures provided invaluable data that paved the way for human space exploration, helping scientists overcome numerous challenges and improve safety for astronauts. Their contributions remain a vital part of the legacy of space exploration. There are thousands of great videos like this on the channel. Please take a look. Please share and subscribe or visit the Bonswivit channel on eBay, which has over 250,000 rare and collectible items listed.